Hi everyone, I'm Scott. Thanks for tuning in to another costuming tutorial with Costumers for Christ. I know it's been a while since we posted a tutorial, but we've just been busy creating costumes and attending conventions. And by the way, if you're interested in knowing more about who our team is and what we do, please check out our Facebook page, which you can find a link to in the description below. If you follow that, you can learn more about who we are and what we do at the conventions that we attend. In the meantime, I'm going to teach you how to make a utility belt pouch like this one here. I've been working on a Captain America costume recently, and as you can see in this picture, I usually like to have 3 or 4 belt pouches on Captain America's belt. It just kind of gives him that military look. However, this same method and pattern can be used to make pouches for Batman or Deadpool or whatever character you can think of that has belt pouches. So let's go over the first things that you're going to need. In your materials, you're of course going to need some fabric. This is costume pleather from Joann's. It's only about $8 a yard, and you only need about half a yard to make a whole utility belt. You could also use marine vinyl if you'd like, and it comes in a variety of different colors. The marine vinyl is a little stiffer though, which is why I like to stick with the costume pleather. Then you're going to need a pair of scissors and a Sharpie. If you're using black fabric like I am, you'll want a silver Sharpie. And some WD-40. That just makes it easier whenever you're sewing vinyl or pleather. And of course you're going to need a sewing machine. Now this project only requires the most basic sewing skills. You don't need to be an expert. You're just going to be sewing a straight line using the #1 basic stitch. So I'll walk you through that process when we get to it. But once you've got all of that, you're still going to need your pattern. And we've provided a pattern for you. You can click the link in the description and download this pattern. You'll notice that it's very simple. There's just 4 pieces to it. The front of the pouch, the back of the pouch, the gutter, and the belt loop. Once you have that, you can cut that out. As you can see, I've already cut it out ahead of time for you, and you've got all 4 pieces. And you'll notice that this design is intended to hold a typical cell phone. I made it to the size of my cell phone. I thought that would be convenient for whoever's carrying their phone with them while they're at a convention. But it's easy to modify this if you want the pouch to be a little wider or a little shorter. You can start with this same basic pattern and then change it however you like to fit your own needs. Once you've got all those cut out, the next step is then tracing that onto your black fabric or whatever color you're using. You want to trace onto the wrong side of the fabric, not onto the leathery side of the fabric. And for this project, I wanted to make my belt pouches a little bit shorter. I've already got the cell phone size one, so I'm going to make 2 more that are shorter. And to do that, you just slide the pattern up about 1 inch and then retrace that bottom edge. That's the only part you have to change is the bottom edge. But make sure that you change it on both the front and the back. Once you've done that, you've got your 4 pieces laid out. Then you're going to want to cut those out, which again you can see I've already done it ahead of time. And now you're ready to start sewing. Okay, once you're ready to start sewing, you want to make sure that you've got your sewing machine set to stitch #1 and you've got the normal foot attached. And then you're going to take your back piece, that's the one that has the flap on it, and the belt loop. This has to be attached first because you won't be able to sew it on later. Get that ready, and this is where your WD-40 comes in. I just give a little squirt and then kind of smear that with your finger on the spots that you're going to stitch. That just helps it slide through the sewing machine better. You want to stitch it straight down on, pretty close to the edge. As you can see, it's just attached at the top. Now we're going to attach the bottom of it. And when you're sewing this, always remember to go forward a couple of stitches and then go back a couple of stitches. That locks your thread in place. and then do the same thing at the other end. And when you pull your thread out, give it about 6 inches of slack so it's not tight when you're cutting. And now you have your belt loop. Should look just about like that. And snip away any stray threads that are left on there. And next we're going to attach the gutter to the back. What you'll do is you'll just take the long edge and line it up with the little corner piece there at the top. And make sure this time that the leathery parts are facing each other. And you're going to sew, leaving about a 1/4 inch seam allowance, which is the same size as that corner piece. Again, go forward just a little bit, and then back, and then forward again. Now normally I'll do this without lifting the foot, I'll just turn it, but so that you can see what I'm doing. Now I've got the gutter attached just to one side. Then you're going to take it and you're going to snip a little slit in the gutter right even with the corner of the back panel. That will allow you to then fold it over, and you're going to line up the corner of the back panel with the new slit that you just created. And then that's where you're going to start sewing again. Alright, then you're going to do the exact same thing again. You take it, you see where the corner is, you snip a small slit. That allows you to, once again, bend the fabric, and you're going to line it up going up the other side. And now you should have something that's starting to vaguely resemble a pouch. As you can see, I've got a lot of excess here left over because I shortened the pouch, but I didn't shorten the gutter. So if you've got excess left over, you just trim it right off. So now it should look like this. Next, you're going to attach the front of the pouch to the gutter. This is the top, the part that doesn't have the corners cut out. So first you line up the top, and you're going to do the same thing that you did the first time. Actually, before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and snip the little slits. In order to get it lined up right, you take your corner and you pinch it flat, and that shows you where your corner will line up. So just a small snip, do the same thing here. Small snip, and now you're ready to attach that front panel. So we're just going to go like this. I find it easier to put the back panel on top when you're stitching and have the front panel on the bottom face up. Again, you do about a 1/4 inch away from the edge. Lock your stitch and go forward. At the next piece. you go. I've got a whole bunch of loose threads here, but I'll get those later. Now you have a finished inside-out pouch. This is what it should look like. Before you can do anything else, we're going to have to flip that right side out. So you just carefully tuck it in and fold it back over itself. Now, if you'd like to, you just want to save time or you don't really care about the edge, how it looks, you could just stop right there and call it done. I like to put what's called a French stitch over the seams, and that gives it this nice finished look. As you can see here, it kind of has, it looks like piping along the edge, but that's actually called a French stitch. And so what we do is we just pinch the seam really tight together, and then sewing from the outside, need a little bit of WD-40. We sew right over the seam that we just created. And you want to do this like 1/8 of an inch away from the edge of the fabric. And you can see that one edge now has a nice crisp finished look to it. We're just going to do the same thing on all the other edges. Okay, there you go. Now all sides have been French seamed, and so you have a nice, more boxy shape for it. One last detail we're going to do is add a stitch across the top. This will help keep the flap in place. So you just want to fold it neatly over right where the front edge comes over the front of the pouch itself, and then stitch that really close to the edge. You want less than 1/8 of an inch on that seam allowance. There you go. Once that's done, you can trim the front flap to whatever length you want it to be. And the only thing you have left to do is add a closure. Now you can use a Velcro closure or a metal button. I prefer to use plastic snap closures, which you can get at Joann's or Hobby Lobby. I'm not going to take the time to show you how to do that because those usually come with instructions on them and they're pretty easy to follow. So all you have left to do is repeat this process about 3, 4, 6, 8 times, however many you need for your utility belt, and you are ready to fight crime. Thanks everybody for watching. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and subscribe. God bless and have a great week.